Hello and welcome back in this special requested video by Mr. Actually, his username is a little bit complicated. I think he's from Brazil because he requested a turbocharged version of the Chevrolet 250 cubic inch inline 6 engine. Apparently, this engine is very popular in Brazil, and I really apologize because I really cannot pronounce his username. I'm gonna try. Mr. Guilherme Agostinho, Mr. Gulli, I'm gonna call you. So he requested, as I said, a turbocharged engine of this 250 cubic inch engine. As you can see, this engine has been requested by Mr. Robert Smeltzer before, and as you can see, I made a clone of it so we can turbocharge it and transform it to 2018. As you can see, this is the engine made in the 1970s. It's as you can see, everything here is locked because it's a clone. It's a 4-liter engine. It's nearly 4.1 liter engine. It's 98.4 millimeter on the bore, 89.7 millimeter on the stroke. It's an inline 6 cast iron block with push rods, 2 valves, and cast iron head. Pretty much basic 70s engine. Cast internal, 0 quality, 8.1 to 1 is the compression ratio, 41 on the cam profile, -6 on the quality here because I want to keep the power and torque perfectly like the real engine, natural aspirated, single barrel, single carburetor on the top with the standard intake manifold. I'm using 98 octane fuel here. 14.2 is the air-fuel ratio with 22 on the ignition, 4300, pretty much basic cast log exhaust manifold, and as you can see, 2-inch exhaust diameter, no catalytic converters because of leaded fuel, twin reverse mufflers, and +2 quality here. Alright, so this is the basic engine. Now let's try and bring it to 2018. Obviously these numbers and these figures will change because the technology will advance from the 70s to today, as you can see. Let's move on here and look at the results here when I go with this engine to 2018. Here is the 80. As you can see, it's from the 70s to 80s we gain more fuel efficiency, less octane usage, less material cost, more reliability, less weight. As you can see, more performance index, advanced extra 10 years. This is the 90s. As you can see, a lot of improvement. This is the 2000. As you can see, more materials is opening here. This is 2010. As you can see, now we can run it on nearly 92 octane, 14.3 fuel efficiency, and I received another comment. That's cool. Alright, extra smoothness, extra reliability, and now let's move on to 2018. Alright, 17 and 18, here we go. We are running on 14.6% of fuel efficiency. As you can see, 92.4 octane. Engine is more smooth, more reliable, etc, etc. I'm gonna keep everything basic and stock. The internals will remain the same, the camshaft will remain the same, -6. As you can see, the power has increased from 110 horsepower to 116, and from 190 pound-feet of torque to 192, and the RPM limit has increased, of course, because of better internals. Right, so the first thing to do is switch from leaded to unleaded because this fuel has ended. Alright, here you go, 98 octane fuel, and I'm gonna keep basically the same carburetor, the same everything, the same fuel air fuel ratio, everything. The exhaust, I think I'm gonna modify the exhaust, but the most important thing is to add the turbocharger on it. Here we go, the turbocharger is working perfectly out of the box. No need to tune it more, but I'm gonna play with it. For example, I'm gonna switch it to ball bearing to make the power band even earlier, and I'm gonna make a very custom exhaust system. Yes, as you can see, I already did the turbocharger. I always push the air fuel ratio to the max, and the turbine, I always like to keep it slammed all the way to the ground so I can to make this engine really less laggy, because I hate turbocharged engine when they get extremely laggy. And now let's see if the compressor can be tweaked to perfection, because as you can see, decreasing the size of the compressor will, I know that it's killing the fuel economy, but it's making the torque going out really early. As you can see, 1800 rpm, like this, 53.5. and now let's modify the intercooler a little bit. 390, yes, 417 horsepower. Keep it zero quality here, and now we still have room here. I mean, I would really appreciate if we can push the ignition timing a little bit. Now let's see the result here. Alright, so I pushed the ignition timing a little bit. 289 pound-feet of torque, 176 horsepower. So not much of an increase, but let's try and push the exhaust a little bit further. Alright, bypass valves, let's put some modern exhaust on it. Here we go. 2.5 inch, this is perfect. And let's put a three-way Carolina converters on it so we can make the engine even less toxic, because it's already very toxic. This is an old school engine with a push rod valve terrain on it, and now as you can see, this is how it looks. I mean, it looks weird because it still has the same single barrel carburetor. The exhaust manifold has changed, of course, and the turbocharger and the bigger exhaust system with the Carolina converters on it. It looks amazing, right? This is wrong, I think, or yes, this is wrong. As you can see, the distributor is wrong. It should be here in the back, and this is also an error. They should fix it as well. And now let's fire this puppy up and see what kind of result we will get. As you can see, power and torque are amazing. The engine is extremely torquey at low RPM, and it's really good torque. I mean, the low end torque, as you can see with the turbo, starts at 1900 RPM and it goes all the way to 318 pound-feet of torque, and it sounds amazing. Sounds really smooth and really good. As you can see, the intake is restricting a lot, and that means a single carburetor from this single barrel family. I mean, single barrel family is not bad, but a single carburetor is not really good for airflow. So let's try and push even more power out of this beast by adding another carburetor. There you go. Let's look at the power and torque and check these out. But before, let me push this one again. Alright, that submitted the old results, and now, alright, look at the increase. Better throttle response, higher fuel efficiency, less octane usage. Of course, the engine got more complicated to make, and it's now more expensive because of another carburetor. And yes, it's got less reliability because of course you have to work on another carburetor. But it's okay, only 2 points or 1.8 points, and it's got more heavier, of course, because of another one. But the power has increased significantly, and the torque as well, and the torque curve and the power curve got smoother. Alright, but we are still restricting. As you can see, it's still restricting 0.86. Don't worry about the turbine and the compressor. These should restrict. These should be designed. Don't worry. A turbocharger should restrict airflow to work, but the intake and the exhaust should not restrict. The exhaust is good, it has good airflow to it, but we should consider the intake. As you can see, this is how it looks now. Let's add a third one, but let me submit the result. Here we go. Now, yes, and let's see here. Okay, 231 horsepower. We got extra fuel efficiency, less octane usage, that's cool, and better throttle response. Alright, so triple carburetors is the answer here. Alright, and now let's switch the intake manifold from standard, eco, quiet one with quiet, air filter to a performance one. Alright, we have now a performance intake manifold, shorter runs, and we have a performance intake, performance air filter also. That's all. Should add extra power, 233 horsepower, 325 pound-feet of torque. Alright, now we have something, and the intake is restricting a little bit of hair, a tiny hair of restrictions. This is nothing. And now I'm gonna choose 95 octane fuel because this is way cheaper to buy in a gas station or in a fuel station or a petrol station from the 98. And let's push the ignition timing more. Yes, like this. Alright, nearly 250 horsepower. Now this is a great number. And now since we can push the RPM even higher, let's try and see what kind of RPM. Alright, so let's put it on 5000. The power will stop at 4800. Alright, that's perfect. Anything else we should do? Well, if we can just put a straight through second muffler, that should, and the first one maybe. Alright, to make the engine extra sporty, and put a high flow 3-way Kerala converter. No, 2.8 inch is perfect. And I don't want to push more fuel in. No, that's not good. Alright, so the engine is working perfectly now. 260 horsepower. Okay, I can live with that. No, I cannot push. I cannot push the boost to 10 psi because the carburetors cannot cope, or the fuel system cannot cope with the boost. This kind of boost. So 9 psi or 9.9 is perfect. All right, so this way, 260 horsepower. It's 260 horsepower and 341 pound-feet of torque. Now that's perfect. Remember, we started with this engine with 110 horsepower. Now we have 260, so we have extra 150 horsepower of an increase. That is magnificent. And also that the torque, we started in 190 pound-feet of torque, and now we have 341. You can do the math of the difference. And now look, it's amazing. It's still reliable. It's more fuel efficient right now. And we are using less octane than before. We are using only nearly 95 octane. The engine is more responsive. It's still quiet at low RPM and still have this sporty noise at high RPM. And it's still smooth. It still sounds amazing. And of course, all the internals, the crankshaft, the connecting rods, and the pistons are still the same. The block, the cylinder heads are still the same. The camshaft is still the same. Let's see, the cylinder head, as I mentioned, is still the same. We only changed the fuel system. We added two extra carburetors. We changed the intake manifold. We added a turbocharger with turbo manifolds, as you can see, a different and modern exhaust system, an intercooler, as a performance air filter. we designed the we also played with the ignition timing. We did not add any extra fuel, and we changed from leaded fuel to unleaded 95 octane fuel, and that's it. I mean, easy mods anyone can do. If you have the same engine, if you have this engine in good condition, in really good condition, you can bolt on a better high performance intake manifold, extra 2 carburetors if you are still using the same single barrel, and you will get extra result even without a turbocharger. But if you turbocharge this beast, you will get extremely good results. And remember, you have to have a perfectly mint condition engine, because turbocharging an old engine or a worn out engine, you know, with bad piston rings and with bad head gasket, it will explode. But you know, remember, if you have a good engine and if you really love to make great power, just spend extra bucks and bolt on a turbocharger. Actually, I'm thinking about bolting a turbocharger on my Crown Vic. I've searched the internet and I found out some good turbo kits for 4.6 Mustangs that can work on a Crown Vic if you modify the pipes and the exhaust manifolds. But it will work, and I'm really think of doing that. And if I do it, I'm gonna make a video about it. So thank you so much for requesting this cool engine. And I do apologize for not pronouncing your name correctly. I'm gonna call you Mr. Guli Agostino. Yes, thank you so much for your cool request. Now let's fire up this engine again, because I like the sound of it. Of course, all of this is just keeping the engine classic and carburetor at the same time. Of course, if you want to buy an EFI kit for it, of course you can use even 91 octane with this turbocharged setup. But I want to keep it classic, and turbocharging a carbureted engine, this is not an easy job, because everything is mechanical and you need to know what you are doing so you will not blow the engine up. I mean, if you are using EFI, you can just take it to the dyno and they will just grab a computer, plug in the OBD2 port, and they will just start perform and write down the correct mapping for the fuel and the ignition timing. But using a carburetor, this is a really complicated job, because you have to be a really old school mechanic to know how to tune the carburetors perfectly to perfection with the boost, and you really need to know what you are doing. And I'm really happy with the result, combining a modern technology of turbocharging and forced induction with a classic carburetors, and especially the single barrel carburetor, because these are really old school. And thank you so much guys for watching, and thank you so much for your cool request, and I'm really happy with the end result here. If you enjoy the video, please hit that thumbs up and hit that like button. And if you are new to my channel, get subscribed, hit that subscribe button, share the video if you want to share it, and of course hit that notification bell button so you can get a notification each time I release a new video. And thank you so much guys for watching. Please request more cool videos. Visit my Patreon page for if you want to write a request, if you want to read your the latest updates on your own request, to find out when it will be released. And of course keep requesting videos, and I will see you very soon with more cool requests like this one and even more. And for now, goodbye my friends.